Have you ever thought about leaving an everlasting legacy, one that your kids, grandkids, and all your future generations can live off? Well, building generational wealth is a tough task, but it pays off big time if done correctly. Here is a staggering statistic. 70% of wealthy families lose their fortune by the second generation, and that number climbs to 90% by the third generation. So, how can you stop the same from happening to your family? We will go through some important steps that you should follow if you want to build wealth that lasts multiple generations. And before you ask, no, you do not need a seven-figure paycheck to build generational wealth. We will teach you how to do it even with a small salary. 1. Have a clear goal. The first thing you need to do in order to build generational wealth is having a clear long-term goal. What do you want to achieve in the future? Do you want to build up a company that stays evergreen and is capable of providing your next generations? Do you want to buy a house and ensure that your children and grandchildren don't have to worry about rent? Do you want to set up multiple reliable investments that yield consistent returns? Or do you simply want to ensure that your descendants have a relatively comfortable future with enough money to get by as long as they don't go overboard? Once you've decided on your goal for the long term, you can then break it down into multiple, manageable short-term and medium-term goals. One thing will lead to another, and you will get rolling on the road to generational wealth. The key here is to have a clear goal and to make sure that it's also a realistic, attainable objective. If you set your target on something unrealistic, it will lead to frustration and missed opportunities. It's also important to set deadlines. While they can be flexible, you must try your best to stick to them. This will help you focus on the goal while avoiding unnecessary expenses along the way. 2. Automate your savings. If you want to build generational wealth, then saving money is imperative. And yes, as obvious as it is, this is one thing people struggle with. Savings are always a tricky topic. At first glance, saving money looks quite simple. But once you start dealing with day-to-day expenses, the problems arise. You will inevitably have to deal with incidents and unplanned expenses along the way, which will obviously eat into your carefully planned budget. One thing leads to the other, and then, at the end of the month, you suddenly have no money left in the bank. In order to avoid headaches, automating your savings is the best thing you can do. This way, you will make sure to meet your saving goals at the end of the month, keeping your temptation to spend in check. You will naturally make saving money into a habit, and, just like that, you will have a substantial amount safely stored away. Automating your savings will also force you to become more budget conscious, as you will have less money to spend. With time, you will be able to set an even bigger value aside for your automated savings, thanks to your new spending habits. 3. Investments. After saving some decent money, your next step on the road to building generational wealth is to start investing it. The investments will have to line up with your long-term goal. Do you want to pursue returns that exceed the market average? Or are you happy to stick to a less volatile but much safer investment, even if it means smaller returns in the short term? It's important to have a good understanding of the risks involved as well. Take some time to study and learn more about the theme. Investing money, whether in stocks, real estate, or anything else, just make sure you stick to the number one rule of investments. Do not lose money. And of course, it's also important that your assets can outpace inflation over that period of time. This will give you a real return on your investments, which means that you are effectively creating actual wealth. This step will demand a bit of time and patience, but it is, by far, the most important one. It's impossible to talk about building generational wealth without investing money. 4. Set up a trust fund. When we talk about creating generational wealth, you inevitably have to touch a very sensitive topic, and that is inheritance. Trusts will hold your assets and effectively protect them from multiple taxes, while also letting you remain in control. You can take these assets back at any time, providing you with flexibility as well. But, most importantly, a trust will also let you set an inheritance arrangement, which will ensure that your assets are passed down to your descendants. Trusts will soften the burden of death tax, which can range from 40% up to 55% depending on the country you live in. By setting up a trust, your descendants will take control of the assets when you are no longer around, but without effectively owning them, which lets them circumvent these bothersome taxes. Other than that, you can also set up the trust so that your descendants get the assets at small increments over time. This way, you can make sure that they do not end up spending everything at once, avoiding the trap of losing all your hard-earned wealth in the space of 2 or 3 generations. You will force your children and grandchildren to be responsible and conscious about their spending habits, which will ensure that your wealth actually lasts for multiple generations. These are the steps you have to follow if you want to build generational wealth, whether it's millions of dollars or just enough money so the next generations have enough to live a comfortable life. How do you plan on building your generational wealth? Share your thoughts with us in the comments. Wealth Enriched is your source for all things finance. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on our content. See you in the next video.